Hello Aries, welcome to Monarch Intuition, and today I'm going to be doing your March 2023 monthly check-in reading for you. Sorry these are coming out so late. We had some power issues and storm issues. So what's going on for the sign of Aries? What do we need to know for you? One more shuffle. If you're new to my channel, I like to start out with one major arcana to see the energy and then clarify with a different deck. So we have the High Priestess. So hindsight being 2020. I feel like you're going to understand something right here a little bit later on down the line. If you actually take a step back to look at a situation within your life, you can see how every situation led you up to this point, right? How every bad situation, how every good opportunity or good choice that you've made within your life. So when I see the High Priestess, this is kind of like reflection and understanding that if you understand where you went wrong within your life, you can change your future and break cycles. So what do we need to know about this High Priestess for you? I'm going to be using the Revelations Tarot. This deck does have reversals in it. Yep, well, we have two cards. We have the Tower in reversed, the Four of Cups upright, and the Eight of Pentacles in reversed. So this is what is going on for you right now. The Tower has fallen, right? So an opportunity within your life has been destroyed. And you're kind of sitting there looking at the pieces of what you can do now. Now, while you are sitting there looking at these pieces, this angel is offering you an opportunity with the Four of Cups. Something is coming out of thin air for you, something brand new, some sort of new opportunity that you're not paying attention to because you're looking at the Tower falling over. Now, it's funny because in the Four of Cups, there are three cups standing up and the fourth cup is being offered to him, right? So this is very symbolic to the Five of Cups with the Tower in reverse representing three cups have fallen over. Now, when we look at the Eight of Pentacles in reverse right here, this is saying that there is stagnation within your work. Something is taking a lot longer, or you just can't fit the pieces together. You're not understanding why these pieces, when you're trying to rebuild something, are just not interlocking for you. This is kind of like, having a jigsaw puzzle, but then not being able to fit any of the pieces together. It's like, well, these went together, a few days ago, but now that it's, kind of crumbled, I can't fit anything. I can't find what I'm supposed to be doing. So with this High Priestess right here, is understanding if you are a spiritual person, if you're a practitioner, if you're going on, a different path within your life, your goal is to complete what you set out to do, right? And so all these, situations that come up within your life, the constant destruction, the constant rebuilding, whatever it is, that is you learning lessons along the way. So that way, when you do finally reach that level, you can look back on everything within your life and, kind of tell people and kind of help people along with their own path. And that's the whole point of the High Priestess, is that she sits at the crossroads, right? She sits at the crossroads of yin and yang. She has all these different religions that are under her, and she has the crown of Hecate, right? So it represents that she is a master of religion. She has studied all the ancient texts. She's studied every single thing, interlocked all of these pieces. And so what you're supposed to be doing is waiting for the next opportunity to arrive. If something has been destroyed, well, it was meant to be destroyed. If you chose to go down a spiritual path, then you chose to build towers to watch them fall. Build towers, watch them fall. Go down these paths, get lost in the woods, and find your way out. So what's going on with this Tower energy? I'm going to be using the Vampire Tarot. I can't shuffle today. We have the Three of Scepters. Okay, we have the Temperance, and we have the Ace of Skulls coming out. And that's very symbolic. You're waiting on the angel to come in to offer you a situation. You're looking at, this destruction right here, and the angel is offering you this pentacle, the pentacle that actually fits together with this ace or this Eight of Pentacles that you can't seem to fit together. So you're looking at this destroyed tower with this Three of Wands, waiting for something to happen, and the angel is going to come in to offer you this cup that's kind of like a transmuted Ace of Pentacles right here, that helps you solve this mystery of what to do next within your life. So let's look at, I'm going to clarify all these cards before I start asking more questions about individual concepts like what is the angel, who is the angel, what's going to happen. So what is with this Four of Cups? You have the Seven of Knives. It's basically teaching you how to be clever right here. There's an opportunity coming up in your life and you're going to have to be clever. You're going to have to use your wits. It's kind of like having to use your street smarts again, or having to kind of like, figure your way out of a situation using whatever you've gained along your way. Because remember, the high priestess and spirituality doesn't always just mean that, you're going to go be a nun inside of, a cathedral. It represents that you're going to sometimes be homeless, sometimes be in a halfway house, sometimes, digging ditches and plunging toilets. Like, it's not all glamorous, right? Especially every time your tower falls down, every time you build something up, you have to be, if you're going on this high priestess path, if you're going on a spiritual path within your life, your goal is to complete all the spiritual tests, all the things that you're supposed to be doing, understanding light path, shadow path, understanding all texts of religion, and looking back on the past and saying, how can I maneuver my way through these things? Sometimes you have to go all the way back down to square one. You could build the Tower of Babel all the way to the top just for it to be destroyed, and sit there and look at the rubble and say, okay, well, that obviously didn't work, so maybe I'll just go build this house over here. That thing gets destroyed. Okay, well, I have some bricks left over. Maybe I can go and build this. But every single time you learn something different. A tower is different. You use a building or a different building technique with the tower than you do for a house. You use a different building technique for a road than you do for, a tower. So what's going on with this Eight of Pentacles? But you still gain the knowledge of every single thing that you've built, even if it gets destroyed. That's the concept of, creation. Something is spoken into existence, and then at the end it's destroyed. So what is the Eight of Pentacles? The Emperor and the Two of Knives. You're not understanding that, say for example, what is GA on the Masonry, Freemasonry temples? Well, it stands for Grand Architect or Great Architect. The Great Architect is God. That is like, the Emperor card, the Emperor and the Sun card together. And, when we talk about the great architects, you build something and eventually it will be destroyed. That's the whole point. That is the concept of, mathematics. That is the concept of the universe itself, expanding until it's, ends. And so you have to understand that on this life, if you've chosen a spiritual path, you are building to watch things be destroyed. And that's what the Two of Knives is right here with this Emperor. You have to come to that completion for yourself, okay? You have to come to that conclusion for yourself. You're not seeing the mastermind of, the great deity of everything. So who is the angel? The Five of Knives and the Four of Cups. So it's almost like you meet someone when you're walking away from, a toxic cycle. So for example, maybe you're walking by an old place you used to live. Maybe you had to like sell off a bunch of stuff. Who knows? And, someone says, didn't you used to live here? Or didn't you used to have this job? Didn't you used to have this much money? Didn't you used to have this? And, you're like, yeah, whatever. And you're walking on by them because you've learned that lesson, he who is without sin cast the first stone. So I kind of feel like that's what you're understanding is like you don't throw stones at a glass house, right? So you're walking away, and that's when the angel comes in. It's like you understand all of your tests from the previous cycles that you've been through, right? You have the World, you have a completion. You're completing something right here. You're waiting for the angel to show you the completion so that you can go on to a new cycle, or maybe you've completed everything that you're supposed to be doing. The Six of Scepters showing you a victory. So I kind of feel like in a way it's a victory lap. Once you finally receive whatever this is, it's like a victory lap for you. You have the Queen of Swords, you have the Hierophant, and you have the Fool. Well, you might have a new cycle beginning with this Fool, a blank slate, but I do feel like in a way you've mastered the Hierophant. You've mastered the concept of law, because you have the Queen of Knives, which is kind of Libra energy, and then you have the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy, and Taurus and Libra both rule the Empress. So I kind of feel like, that is the Empress giving birth to a new life right here, to a new cycle with that Fool energy. It's like you've mastered the concepts of law and, building just to have something destroyed, just to, restart doing something else. And, that is the concept of insanity, doing something over and over and expecting a different result. But here's the thing is that you don't need to sit there and expect a different result. You just have to understand that's the whole point. Like, even as a human life, you're born, you live your life, and you die, right? You could, create a painting. Even think about like the stuff that you buy from the store. You buy a cell phone, right? You use it for a few years and then you get rid of it. It's destroyed. The concept of, like recycling. I mean, you use a milk carton for a few weeks, however long, I don't know. And then you recycle it. It turns into something else. I'm not saying that it's, insanity for you to continue to do these things. It's like you're learning different concepts of recycling things. You're understanding concepts of, moving forward within your life, going through these ebbs and flows and these cycles. You have the Two of Grails, the connection, you have the Three of Skulls, and you have the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like you have the mastery of how to build a great thing for yourself, so you can be the one sitting there on your own throne. It's like you've gained all of this knowledge, all these skills, all these masteries to go through these cycles, right? So that way you can be the one who is recognized, okay? Like whenever they see a book or whenever they see a channel on YouTube or whatever, they're going to associate that topic to you. It's kind of like, for example, books about witchcraft or whatever. What do people immediately associate a book to witchcraft to? Harry Potter. She's kind of like the Queen of Pentacles right there. What do people associate, what is it? Those Japanese cartoons to? Well, everyone says it's Pokemon because that was like the biggest thing and it's still one of the biggest franchises in the world. Like, they will always associate, those Japanese cartoons to Pokemon. They'll always associate witchcraft to J.K. Rowling. They will always associate X, Y, and Z to these people who were the monoliths of whatever this was. And I kind of feel like that's what you're trying to build for yourself, is this monolith thing that whenever anyone sits there and says, hey, I know about that, they will associate that immediately to you. That's the victory. The Hanged Man, see it from a different perspective. You have the Queen of Cups, and you have the Tower. So the Hanged Man is seeing things, trying to gain the enlightenment, right? Gaining the enlightenment of this spiritual energy of Cancerian energy. And the Tower, and watching it be destroyed. Whatever you've had in the past. So I just feel like these are things that, you're always going to create, and then you're always going to start something new. You're always going to create. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, and I'm not going to say that's a good thing. It's when a tower falls, it doesn't always have to be a bad thing. It can be a spiritual epiphany for you, okay? So that's not going to say that your house and your car and all that stuff is going to be taken away. I just feel like you're going to have a lot of spiritual epiphanies with this Queen of Wands, with this Hanged Man right here. Like, you're always going to have those things. And by you having spiritual epiphanies, you're always going to be able to create something new, or be able to use that spiritual epiphany into something else that builds something for you or for other people. And by you building it for other people, they will always associate that to you. It's kind of like, when someone builds a park for a community. So, but I do feel like you're about to have a grand spiritual epiphany or a spiritual awakening, understanding something. You have the Two of Scepters and the Queen of Scepters. You're going to be able to move forward with this Queen of Scepters energy. You're going to understand what you are supposed to be doing, but you're also, in a way, going to be sitting there on your throne. You have the Chariot. It's like the Chariot is moving you. It's kind of like moving your throne. And that's kind of like symbolic to like the charioteer. They have like this huge platform that they stand on, right? They're not necessarily moving themselves, like they aren't walking. Their platform is moving. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with this Queen of Scepters right here, is that your throne is sitting in like this charioteer pod, and it's moving forward, being pulled by the horses. All you have to do is kind of sit there and sit on the throne and like take that victory lap around, right? The Empress. So it's new creation. It's a new thing. It's something has been destroyed, but something brand new is being offered to you. Something that's solid, something that I see is going to be, you know, a spiritual awakening, an understanding, an aha moment, a conclusion, and which allows you to have that victory lap around a situation. The Six of Pentacles being offered to you with the Star. Your goals are here now. You're reaching a goal. You're reaching the next phase. You're reaching the next star in the constellation of your life. And that could be, you know, that distraction energy is that when we look at the constellation of our lives, right, with that High Priestess, you're going to look at your constellation of who you were, right? And you have to understand that you have this star right here. You've created this star for yourself, or you created this loop within your life. And in order for you to get from this star to this new star, for this new star of creation, you have to destroy this one thing, or you have to at least fly away from it. And it can be very painful, packing up everything, getting into that car, getting in onto your throne, and moving to the next star, or moving to the next point. But I do feel like, in a way, it's going to be very stable for you with the Empress. But remember, that's the ever-changing flows of life. You know, we can go through all of our spiritual epiphanies, but then build our house in a really bad place. Like, for example, you build your house in Kansas, and then they have a bunch of tornadoes, right? So I'm not saying that things are constantly going to be destroyed or whatever, but you have to be prepared for those eventualities. That's why insurance is important. That's why, you know, health insurance is important. All of these different things, right? But I do feel like you're getting into this chariot with all of your, like, you know, things moving forward to the next point, and the next point is the Empress. The next point is some sort of luxury for yourself. You have the concept of the Queen of Swords with the Hierophant right here. It's really just going to be you and people looking at you and associating a work or something to you. So let's look at your oracle cards. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know. You have Crow, Sovereignty, and Crab, Retreat. I kind of feel like it's just a retreat from a situation. You are sovereign in a situation, right? You're doing your own thing, but this is just a pullback, okay? And there's nothing wrong with retreating from something that is detrimental. I mean, once you've won a situation or a battle, or you've conquered something, or you've conquered the conquest, or you've won this war or whatever, you take your stuff and you leave. I wouldn't even say that it's like a retreat. I would say with the sovereignty, it's like a victory moving away. It's like, you know, when you're done fighting that war, you kind of like move your people out, you move all this stuff out, and then it's like over. The war is won, right? And people go home. So what's going on with this? Because you're a sovereign with this retreat, so it's like you've won and now you leave. And that could be that, you know, Queen of Scepters with that Chariot. That's actually very funny right there. It's like the Queen of Scepters is a sovereign, and with this Chariot, which is Cancerian energy, Crab energy, it's like packing up and going on. And I wouldn't even call it a retreat. It's more like you, whatever. And, you know, it's funny because when I see this Five of Swords right here, people might not even know that you've won. People might not even understand what you've gained in a situation. What's this? The Lord of Skulls. I feel like they're only looking at it from a monetary point of view. They're looking at it from a physical standpoint, not from the intellectual standpoint that you've gained insight into a situation. One more card for that. The Prince of Grails. I think you've gotten the seed of what you need to move forward. You've gained that little piece of information, and that little piece of information goes along with all those other pieces of information. So I got it for you. It's like, one more card. I feel like, I'm not going to say Four of Swords, but I do kind of feel like Four of Swords, but Page of Swords. All right. So what I'm thinking for you is this. Throughout your life, you've had these little snippets of information, right? All the things you've studied, all the things you've gained. They lie deep within your subconscious. Now, you've built a situation and it's fallen apart, and you're trying to fit everything back together. But here's the thing, you're trying to put a physical concept back together and not the spiritual concept of what you've gained, the knowledge that you understand from something, okay? It could be like getting a doctorate at school, but then wanting to go back and, take freshman classes. Like, who would do that? You've gained the information, you understand this cycle, now move on. Now you're trying to fit the pieces back together with this little piece of information that you have, but it's not supposed to go with these pieces, these physical pieces. It's supposed to go with those mental concepts that you've gained over that spiritual lifetime, over your life, all that wisdom. And that's the whole point of, like, older people. It's like they have a lot of wisdom. You're gaining wisdom and insight right here. So Apple, risk and reward, scrying, intuition. It's inside of your mind. It's inside of your head. It's the concept. And that's the thing, Aries, is that you rule the head. You have thoughts, and these thoughts go together with this risk and reward. You've built something. Okay. The reward was you received the piece of the apple. You received another critical piece of information. That scrying, that information goes into your intuition, and it builds off of another concept. It would be like, say for instance, you took, what class? I'm trying to think of it like a class. Say for instance, when you were younger, you were like really into herbalism or whatever, and so you took an herbal class kind of like out in the woods, or maybe you were in the Boy Scouts and whatnot, and then later on in life you decided to become like a botanist, or for example, maybe you were like an Eagle Scout, and then you decided to actually go join the military and be a real scout, like, like a military scout. Those things translate over here. But say for instance, you were trying to be a Boy Scout, but then you were just wanting to, get married and have kids and finish whatever. But no, all those skills translate over into the next phase, the next step, a much grander thing. And even though you were an Eagle Scout, say you became a military scout, like, do you see how you win this loop right here? You have that victory, because whom can actually say that, right? So who can actually say that they're like a military scout? So that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, is it's like, it's a very small percentage of the population, but everything that you gain from this Eagle Scout stuff translates over here. So you have Sea Star, and you have Air Force, along with Bliss. So I feel like what you're doing right here is that you have this regeneration concept. I feel like it's changed within the air. We're going from, winter into spring right here with this Air Force. I feel like you need to be blissful. You need to smile. You understand something, or you're going to understand something. It's pieces of information that ultimately fulfill a final conclusive thing, okay? And maybe you're not ready for your final conclusive thing, but eventually you will have, like, when we look at cathedrals in like Italy or Spain and whatnot, they didn't just put those up. Those were the person's magnum opus. And when we look at each pinnacle, or each, piece of, like each minaret, or each tower, not tower, but pillar. Each one of those has a mathematical concept. Each one of those has a spiritual concept behind them. Each one of them has every little thing. So they started building roads. They started with building houses. They started with all these other things. And once they finally had the full grasp and scope of mathematics and religion and all these other things, they were like, for my final creation, I will create this cathedral. And those things stand 500, 600, 700 years. And that's what I feel like is going on right here. So I think maybe you have other cycles that need to be destroyed. Maybe you're going to be building that grand, spectacle. However, when you finally do, they will always associate that grand spectacle, that great cathedral, whatever it is, to you. Okay? So, Othela, home, inheritance, property, family, responsibilities, spiritual meaning is the universal truth. You have Redo, speed your journey, ease a transition, aid communication, bring good news, and find your spiritual way. Let me get you one more card. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, I'm missing these. Answers. and peace. Okay? I feel like you're receiving your answers right here. I feel like that right there could be, I hope you finally found some answers. I hope this helped you. But that's your peace, okay? So anyway, Aries, I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I'll talk to you later.